The divinity in me bows down to the divinity in all of you. Ideas re-innovated. It took me a long time to even get to pronounce the word freely. So let me tell you, I put my homework into this. Now what I'm going to do is link it up to my life. There have been a lot of instances in my life when it is as if life has come to a grinding halt. And then suddenly, from somewhere, something happens, the dynamics change, and I bounce back. The first such incident, strangely enough, one of the boys here who answered was in the 4th standard. So we had gone from Bombay to Dehradun. I had just finished my 4th standard, and I was getting ready to give an interview for the 5th standard in Dehradun. And I was a very independent child. So my mom went to get ready. I said, I will make a toast on my own. I put the toast in, sitting in my mother's place, and it popped. So I'm waiting for it to pop out. It didn't pop out. And what a smart child I was. I picked up a metal fork and I popped it in. My maid saw me screaming like a banshee, and she just stood there. My mother heard me and came running out and switched off the electricity. And guess what happened? I fell from the chair. Now, in this condition, I went charged. I went electrified for an interview. I must have done one hell of a brilliant job. Because guess what? I got a double promotion. I skipped the 5th and went straight to the 6th. So I want to make a point here that sometimes you think that this is the be-all and end-all of existence, but it isn't. It's just a bend, and something like a divine dispensation comes by and helps you. So the next example, and my life is ridden, peppered, salted with these examples. 9 years after marriage, I was pregnant after innumerable miscarriages. And for 8 months, I was on top of the world. I was at bliss. And then guess what happened? I had a stillborn child. It was very traumatizing, as you can imagine. I held the baby in my arms, a beautiful baby. I don't even have to shut my eyes. I can see rosebud lips, lots of hair, tall, slender, beautiful. I call her, to date, my little one. I'm talking about July 1987. And it's as fresh as it happened yesterday. The child was taken by my husband and my mother. I was left alone, looking blankly out of the window, tears gently coursing down my cheeks. As far as I was concerned, there was a void. There was nothingness. There was sadness. And I don't know what I was looking at. And then, gradually, the tears stopped. Gradually, it occurred to me that I had had the best 8 months of my life. And gradually, wave after wave of gratitude to the God for giving me those wonderful 8 months. I want to make a point here that if I hadn't these thoughts, I could have been bitter, I could have been miserable, I could have been cursing. The thoughts are all around us in the universe. And it's up to us to take those that we want to. So I thought to myself, I'm so lucky to have had her for 8 whole months. And the next thought, I'm so special because this soul had only 8 months to live as a human being. And I was the lucky one, because after these 8 months, she has reached nirvana. Mukti is out of the cycle of life and death. I'm telling you, Indian philosophy, Hindu philosophy is wonderful. If you're open to it, it gives you ideas that re-innovate you from what you were, what you could have been, and what you become. Next. Now I've had twins. The year is 1990, 15th of August. My twins were born on the 5th of July, 2 months and 5 days premature. I was in hospital for a month in a nursing home with BP. You're all medical science students. 270 by 140, while the twins were inside me. And I gave birth to them. They were rushed from one hospital, Jaslok, from Breach Candy to Jaslok, because Breach Candy didn't have a neonatal clinic. On the 40th day, my mom had a little prayer meeting at home. And for the first time, I emerged out of this perfect preemie room that my mom had put together. There was no sweeping, just swabbing, no air conditioning, no fan, natural surroundings for these bundled up preemies whose ears hadn't opened up yet. And guess what? We went out, and I got a high temperature of 105. Now, there were 2 gynacs, 2 pediatricians, 10 doctors, and the Mahabharata was, the mother has to be in the same room as the twins. The other lot said, the twins cannot be in the same room as the mother. I think the pediatricians probably won over. The twins were in my room. So visualize this case. I have been told to lie down on my side. I was probably just pushed and rolled over. And my whole body was being smashed, literally, with these huge towels put in ice cold water. 3 buildings, we finished the ice. Thankfully, it was 15th of August, Prohibition Day. So a friend of ours who owned a hotel, he sent some more ice. And every time they slapped these towels onto me, I would scream, hot body, cold towels. I would scream, and my poor little babies would scream. And somewhere in this feverish haze, I got a thought. See what thoughts can do. The thought was that Hindu philosophy, once again, says that I am not the body, I am the soul, and the soul feels nothing. My mother's job was to keep slapping me on the face so that I don't sleep and go into a coma. And finally, when I had psyched myself, they slapped me with the towels. I didn't scream. My twins didn't scream. But my mother thought, oh my God, what's happened? She's not responding. So she slapped me some more. And then her hot tears fell on my cold face. I didn't have the energy to say, hey, hold it, Mom. I'm not going nowhere. So I opened my mouth and I said, I am not the body. I am the soul. And the soul feels nothing. Now, my mother thought I was making a farewell speech. No, you can't go. She's crying. She's slapping me some more. And I didn't have the energy to tell her, hey, I'm just psyching myself. Re-innovation. I thought I was dying. I was gone. And suddenly, like a spark of inspiration, I realized there is something I can latch on to. So I want you people to know that however bad something is happening in our lives, you can always reach for the stars. Every cloud has a silver lining, but you have to be prepared. Now let's imagine, I've given you examples of myself. Let me give you examples of some of my patients. There was this girl, young girl. You looked at her, she had just stepped out of the Vogue magazine. Perfectly done hair, nails. She always wore pants or a skirt because she had an artificial leg. And she came to me. She sat across the table and she started crying. I said, what happened? She said, I get pain here. I think cancer's come back. I get pain here. I get pain here. And she was crying. I didn't know how to stop her. And then, idea. So she's reached the end of her tether. I'm wondering how I can help her. And I turned to her and I said, guess what? I'm so happy you came today and not tomorrow. She said, why? So I said, 3-4 days back I went and saw a movie. And when I see a movie, I have to have cold coffee. When I have cold coffee, I have to have popcorn. When you have popcorn, it naturally falls. When it falls, you try to remove it. And I called her near. I said, do you see this lump? I discovered this while I was brushing the popcorn away. Now, this was something I didn't expect. If earlier she was just crying, now she broke down. And she said, how unfair. I said, are you crying for me? She said, yes. I said, why? So unfair. You had broken bones, you had so many miscarriages, you had a stillborn, you had cancer twice, you had a surgery on your leg, they removed a tumor, they found another tumor, that became septic. Last year, from April to October, they were putting hydrogen peroxide down the tunnel under your skin. She'd obviously done a lot of research on me. And I'm sitting there and saying, oh yeah, wow, yeah, I went through that, yes I did, yeah, okay. And then I told her, I said, something? Do you see me crying for it? And she said, no. I said, I want to just tell you one thing. I'm just certain of two things. One, I am born and I touched the edge of my table. And two, I'm going to die. And if every time something happens to me, and you yourself know so much has happened to me, I think that it's the end of life. And one of these days I might cross the road and get hit by a lorry, and I won't even know I'm dead. So why should I think about it? She's at a standstill. I'm at a standstill. But the universe opens up and gives me an idea. Because remember that if we're talking about my body, and we're talking about something going wrong, and then we're talking about all the nerves coming to that place and helping it heal and rejuvenate, guess what? Humanity is one body. We're all part of each other. So if someone is in trouble and I can help them, that's awesome. One more case. This was a Muslim lady, 82-year-old, had a pacemaker, was going to get a mastectomy done. She was very upset. Her hands were like trapped birds. And I was standing over her. Just before she went into the OT, I held her hands. I looked at her. She's on a stretcher. I'm standing above. And I said, let us pray. I shut her eyes. And I said, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. I carried on. After 10 minutes, she was at peace. She opened her eyes and she said, you are Muslim. And I said, yes, because to me it makes no difference whether I'm a Muslim or a Hindu or a Sikh or a Christian or a Parsi or a Zoroastrian. It makes no difference. But to her, she thought that Allah had sent her the messenger of God. I'm saying these things because today, dear ones, is 21st of September. And it is International Day of Peace. Please remember, whatever your caste or creed is, we're all one. A baby cries in the Orient or in America the same way, laughs the same way. You cannot tell what the background is. So I wish you all peace, not only today for International Day of Peace, but for all your lives. My love, my blessings, and my prayers to all of you. I love you. Thank you very much.